In the heart of a dense forest, where the trees grew thick and dark, lay the small village of Balarampur. The villagers were simple, hard-working people, but there was one place they all avoided: an ancient, crumbling mansion perched atop a hill on the edge of the village. It had been abandoned for decades, and the villagers often whispered about the ghost that haunted it. Some said it was the restless spirit of a woman named Shakuntala. Others claimed it was her tragic lover, a man named Raghav. But no one truly knew the full story. Many years ago, Shakuntala and Raghav were the epitome of young love. They had been childhood sweethearts, their bond growing stronger with every passing year. However, their love was forbidden. Shakuntala's father was a wealthy and powerful man, who had already promised her hand in marriage to a much older, influential man from a neighboring village. Despite her father's wishes, Shakuntala and Raghav vowed to be together, sneaking away to meet in secret. One fateful night, after a heated argument with her father about her love for Raghav, Shakuntala fled her home. She planned to run away with Raghav and start a new life far from her father's control. But as she reached the edge of the village, she was stopped by a messenger sent by her father, who told her that Raghav had been involved in a terrible accident and was gravely injured. Desperate to see him, Shakuntala ran to the mansion, where Raghav had promised to meet her one last time. But when she arrived, she found the mansion eerily quiet. The windows were shut tight, and the doors were locked. Her heart raced as she frantically searched the house for him. She finally found Raghav in the mansion's grand hall, lying motionless on the floor, surrounded by broken glass and blood. He had been murdered, his life cut short by the very people who opposed their love. Shakuntala's screams echoed through the mansion, but no one came to help. Grief-stricken and heartbroken, she fell to her knees beside him, swearing vengeance against those who had torn them apart. In her anger and sorrow, she cursed the house, vowing that neither she nor Raghav would ever leave. Her spirit would remain there, forever waiting for him. Years passed, but the mansion never lost its haunting reputation. Villagers claimed to hear Shakuntala's mournful cries on quiet nights, and some even said they saw her ghostly figure in the windows, staring out into the darkness, waiting for Raghav to return. Others whispered that the mansion itself was cursed, that no one who entered would ever leave unscathed. One day, a young couple from the village, curious and skeptical of the stories, decided to spend the night in the mansion. They were brave and foolish in equal measure, thinking they could dispel the myths of the ghost and prove there was nothing to fear. As the sun set, the couple made their way up the hill to the mansion. The air grew colder as they approached, and the wind seemed to carry a faint, sorrowful cry. The doors creaked open, as if inviting them in. They stepped inside, their flashlight beams cutting through the thick darkness. Hours passed, and nothing happened. The couple laughed nervously, convinced the stories were just that, stories. But then, as the clock struck midnight, the temperature dropped dramatically. The walls seemed to close in on them, and the faint sound of a woman's sobbing filled the air. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered, and in the darkened hall, they saw her, Shakuntala's ghost. She stood at the far end of the corridor, her white dress flowing around her, her face pale and twisted in sorrow. Her eyes were hollow, and her hands reached out, as if beckoning them closer. The couple froze, unable to move. Her voice echoed in their minds, filled with centuries of pain and regret. "Raghav," she whispered. "Where are you, my love? I have waited for you. Forever." Terrified, the couple turned and fled, running out of the mansion, but the doors slammed shut behind them with a force that shook the ground. They tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if the mansion had trapped them inside. Desperate and exhausted, they finally broke free and ran down the hill, never looking back. When they returned to the village, they were pale and shaken. The villagers knew then that the stories were true. The ghost of Shakuntala still haunted the mansion, forever bound to her love and her rage, unable to move on. No one ever dared to approach the mansion again, and it stood there, in silence, its windows forever dark, as if waiting for a love that would never be fulfilled. And so, the legend of Shakuntala and Raghav continued, a story of love, loss, and vengeance that would echo through the village for generations to come. Some say that on quiet, moonlit nights, if you listen carefully, you can still hear her crying, waiting for him to return.